Shedeur and Travis are extreme talents. Probably 2 top 10 picks in the draft, I would assume.
I might have gone overboard, but truthfully, they are great players.
Yeah, they're incredible. Shedeur, if he was playing on a competently coached team and actually had some talent around him other than 1 or 2 or 3 guys, he could very easily throw for 4,500, 5,000 yards and truthfully go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in college. Having to stay in Colorado and play for dad who doesn't know how to build a roster and doesn't know how to coach a team.
And also doesn't want to build a roster. But
yeah.
45, 40, 35, 40, he's gonna go! It's time people feel us!
Big Red Junkies.
Day by day! Day by day! He gets better and better! He gets better and better! Team is KPB! If we die, we die!
Man, moving a child in that. Put him in the aisle.
Bring that trophy back to Lincoln!
we are 1-0.
We are 1-0, and if you heard the beer crack, that is for Matt being gone. That if you're a YouTube commenter, if you're familiar with our comment section on there, one might say that his parole was revoked or that his work release was denied for this evening.
Yes.
Started too early, apparently. It is Wednesday at like 7:45 p.m. We are getting into our Colorado preview here at the end of the show, but we want to talk UTEP for a minute.
Oh, trust me, we'll get to Colorado.
Yeah. But
I know that's what most of you are here for. We will get there.
Before that, I do want to take a quick minute to shout out the people that joined us in the live stream. That was our first live stream on Saturday after the game.
Yep.
We're going to try and do one of those every single game night, I guess. Depending on whether or not it is a morning or afternoon game, those will be a 10 p.m. show. But if it's a night game, we don't know for sure. It'll probably be close to midnight-ish, I would guess.
Also, depending on if we're at the game.
Yeah, we're drunk and, whatever.
Yep.
But it's called Bar Talk. We're not taking it too seriously. We're going to get in. We're going to break down what the coach had to say in the press conference after the game and kind of just give gut reactions.
When we know the time, we will send it out on Twitter and Facebook. And Twitter's at Big Red Junkies. Facebook, you can find us on Big Red Junkies or BRJ Nation. Fan page on Facebook. We'll send out the information as soon as we find out when we're going to do it.
Easiest way to do it is to hit that subscribe button, click the bell. It'll notify you right on your phone. You'll have a push notification if we go live.
Also, really quickly, just as far as since we're shouting out people, I'd have to shout out Stephen Allen, your brother John, and your sister-in-law Jennifer, who's my cousin. We talked on Monday. I heard you love the show, and you wanted to come up to the family thing on Labor Day. Sucks that you missed it, but thank you for watching.
Also, a shout out to our new member, Mr. Whatever Shorts. You got a lot of subscribers, man. It's you're doing some good shorts, apparently. We'll have to check you out a little bit more, but
I thought they were like actual shorts, like what you wear shorts, or
I don't know. Whatever, man. But I want to get into UTEP.
Yeah.
That was an extremely exciting first game of the year. Like you said, 1-0 for the first time since 2019. It's been a wild ride, but we're finally here.
As much as we want to say, oh, it was just UTEP and it was just game one, and I agree with that, but at the same time, this is the first game that we've done that to literally anybody in a very long time. I know some people
performed the way we were supposed to perform.
Some people could say the Fordham game, but that's Fordham. I'm talking about an FBS team. I guess that same year you could say the Northwestern game where we shit kicked at them, but it's like, we don't do this enough.
No.
This is what we used to do, where we just performed the way that we should perform against an inferior opponent.
Yeah. And yes, they were year one under a new coach, just like we were last year.
Yep.
Yes, they were undertaking a bunch of new players. That's all. Those are all true things. We're not thinking we're world beaters now just because we beat UTEP. But you know what? It was an exciting game. The eye test showed a lot of things looking really, really good, and we're going to get there as we roll through these questions quick.
Yep. Question number 1 was fumbles by Nebraska. That's the story as far as turnovers, but this wasn't necessarily turnovers. This was just fumbles. 1.5, we only had the one. even though, unfortunately, because we were about to score, even though we ended up scoring by a safety on that that next thing, but everybody but Matt took the under on that one. Number 2 was Dylan Rhule passing yards, 274.5.
Ugh.
Now, I mean, I know, he had 238, so hit the under.
He only played to 5 minutes into the third quarter.
Exactly. If he would have played more, even through the third quarter, he would have been over 274.5.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get what you're saying with the but at the same time, he had a great game.
Statistically,
you were the only one to take the over.
Oh,
I know.
Ahead. I know. Statistically, looking at his first game as a true freshman, it's wildly impressive when you just look at the stats. But I don't think that the stats tell even close to how impressive the story was watching him.
Yep.
I mean, eye test wise, it's easy for me, who's an eternal optimist, to gush over him. You usually like to poo-poo these situations. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, one of the biggest ones that the stats that I saw was according to Pro Football Focus, and I know a lot of people can say one way or the other about Pro Football Focus, but whatever it is whatever it is. At least it's equal for everybody. Rayola's Pro Football Focus grade was the highest grade for a true freshman in his debut in 6 years, and that was Sam Hartman at Wake Forest. So that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
I mean, we've detailed the true freshman stuff during the offseason as far as what to expect from a true freshman quarterback, especially a highly touted true freshman quarterback like Dylan Rhule. And the fact that he is the top one in his debut game in 6 years, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
That's pretty damn good. And for those of you that did catch that show and were wondering about, you're kind of thinking about his season totals, things like that, if he just keeps pace with what he did, which was, like we said, only playing to basically through the first series of the second half, he'd be on pace for 2,856 yards on the season.
And with the numbers that I came up with, I think I dated back to 2016, and I went through the top 15 quarterbacks in each class. All of the guys that had 500 or more snaps, their average yards was like 2,500 passing yards.
Wow.
So he'd be above average in that aspect.
Well, he looked everything above average.
Absolutely,
in my opinion. We've all heard the mentions, we've heard the comparisons to Mahomes. There were some very Mahomes-like moments. Yep. I'm not calling him Mahomes 2.0 by any stretch.
I wouldn't either.
Anyone doing that, more power to you, whatever.
And again, I'm not trying to poo-poo any comparison to the best quarterback that we're watching right now in football. No, whether I hate the Chiefs or not is irrelevant. It's exciting to be compared to the best player in the sport, no matter
especially
what position
when he's a
you
dude
play.
Who you train with, and he's a dude who you obviously look up to and respect. You're emulating your game after him, even if you don't want to give any acknowledgement to it whatsoever in public.
Which he doesn't.
But come on.
I know.
You're doing everything you can to look exactly like him. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Wearing the same shades, the whole thing.
It's cool that you had the same haircut since 6th grade and it has nothing to do with Mahomes
It's just wild.
Or the jersey number and all that stuff. But you know what? That's just life.
Hey, that's Tim Tebow, man.
That's
you
fine.
better say your prayers.
Yeah, you don't want to get into Tim Tebow stuff.
Back to the questions.
Yes. Question number 3 was, who will lead the team in running back carries? Gabe Ervin, Emmett Johnson, Ramir Johnson, or Dante Dowdell? Ramir led the team with 11 carries. I was the only one that took Emmett. Everybody else took Ramir. I kind of just took Emmett because it
felt like he carried the ball more.
Yeah.
I felt like he was in the game a lot more. I don't know. I could be wrong. The carries were very evenly spread out.
Yes,
8, 11, and 6.
Yep.
The 11 for Ramir, I felt like kind of came out of nowhere. That was one of those numbers I was shocked to see at the end.
I kind of felt like it was, okay, Ramir, you got all 11 immediately, and then you didn't get another carry. Like it was.
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple in the second first drive of the second half where they came out that they had a little bit more. He had a couple more there, but I was just a little bit bummed by his. I expected him to look more explosive, and he didn't have that burst like I expected or remember him having.
Question number 4 was UTEP rushing yards. I had it at 74.5. They had 56, so the under hit on that one. They only had we only had 1 sack, but we did have 9 tackles for loss.
Yeah.
So
we took 2 players negative on their rushing yards for the day.
Unfortunately, I was the only one that took the over. I did think it was going to be very close to this number, but it is what it is. So
The rushing defense picked up right back where they left
yes,
off.
they did. Nebraska defensive takeaways, 2.5. We almost had a third in that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Where he dove and almost had it. But
that ball felt like it was in the air forever.
We had 2 takeaways. I will take it. Everybody took the under on that one, so we all got that one right. Who gets the most targets between Banks, Fedoni, Nayor, and Bonner? I was the only one that took Nayor. He had 8 targets. Fedoni had 5. Banks had 4. And Bonner had 3.
Yeah. And Nayor did, oh my God.
Yeah.
He did everything.
Yes, he did.
When's the last time you saw a Nebraska wide receiver that was that determined to get into the end zone?
And just think if he would have caught that one, that was the bomb that he
dove
the
layup.
For.
Yeah. Yeah. But specifically on that catch where he was being interfered with when he caught the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And
kept his balance.
Draped all over him, kept his balance through a guy who was all over both of his legs. That was it reminded me of like a Megatron moment,
Honestly,
Calvin Johnson style.
The fact that he kept his balance was the most impressive of the entire thing. And the rest of it was impressive. I'm just saying.
And then he didn't fall just face first into the ground as he was getting past him.
Yeah. Sacks by Nebraska's defense, I had it at 3.5. We only got the 1. I mean, again, we had 9 tackles for loss, so I'm not going to complain too terribly much, especially against a team that gets the ball out of the quarterback's hands within about a second and a half.
Well, and I know that you wanted to do a quick shout out to a guy who was tied for second in tackles.
Yes. Vincent Shavers.
For a true freshman.
Junior, that is.
Junior. Shout out senior. We know you're watching.
Dad's watching. But I loved seeing him tied for number 2 for tackles. I know that the tackle leader only had 5. I say only, not in a bad way, but only because we played so many guys. But seeing a true freshman out there getting tied for second for the most tackles, getting the time that he did, and it wasn't just all garbage time, by the way. I loved Shavers coming into the season, but I'll be biased and say since Pops likes our show, I like him even more.
One of the things I found very interesting looking at the total tackles, first of all, it was so spread out. There's so many dudes that registered a tackle here. It's crazy. The list is ridiculous.
Yep.
But Malcolm Hartzog being tied up there with Bayer for it only 5, like we said, but did it not feel like they were picking on him in the past game?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
hardcore.
Absolutely.
Especially after he fell down on that touchdown.
Yep.
It, you notice who you don't see on almost anything on any of the stats or any of that stuff for the whole game? It's Tommy Hill.
Yeah.
It was like nope. Revis Island, we're just not going to throw that side of the field.
Yep.
I don't know what the hell's happening over here. Just not going to get close to him.
Yep.
If you're Tommy Hill, you probably got to be a little bit bummed about this, but there's some respect there too.
He'll get some work next week.
Yeah.
But, speaking of those top couple of guys, I do also want to give out a shout out to Mekhi Bayer. We hyped up Javin Wright coming into this season. After I saw him in the open practice, how he practiced in that game, and unfortunately he has his situation where he's unable to play right now. And we were kind of curious as to who that is going to take that spot with Javin Wright, and how are they going to split it up with a bunch of people? Whoever the main guy is going to come in is going to do what he needs to do. Mekhi Bayer balled the fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
On Saturday. So
there were a lot of
props,
dudes that did, though.
Like crazy. Yes, there were, but I'm just saying.
There were so many out there.
But
you have to throw that out to MJ Sherman.
But specifically somebody that is filling in on semi-late notice for a guy, because Javin Wright was going to be the starter.
Yeah.
Over Mekhi Bayer. So having a guy come in and step in the way that Mekhi Bayer did in game 1, kudos to you. You played outstanding.
Hell yeah. And he gave us some talking points for the show today.
Yeah.
But just additional shout outs on that defense, because there's a ton that we could throw out.
Yep.
I don't know that the TV broadcast guys could have slobbered over Ty Robinson any more than they did.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was man crush boner style from the booth, man. Yep. And for good reason.
Yeah.
He was you watched the TV clip, didn't you? Or not clip, but the whole thing.
Yeah.
But did you catch the false start where Ty Robinson literally lit the dude the fuck up because he jumped?
I probably did, but brain farting.
That coach better not have disciplined him for getting that false start call, because Ty Robinson immediately disciplined him. I thought that dude was going to have to come out of the game after that.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus, dude, it was just a false start. Calm down. But that's how fired up these guys were. You've seen so many clips of like the Emmett Johnson one where he's running down to block and he's downfield probably 5 or 6 yards and just levels a dude.
Carter Nelson on kickoff return.
These guys wanted to get out there and hit dudes. It reminded me actually, like, I haven't seen a team play this like physically imposing, almost angry the way they're hitting since that Colorado State-Colorado game last year when Colorado State was going at Colorado like they didn't care. But we haven't seen a Nebraska team look like this and hit like this in decades.
In a long time.
Yeah, I'm talking, I don't even know if I could say after Solich left.
Yeah.
I mean, Bo maybe, but I don't remember them, like, it just as a team. In general, as a team,
Not just
everybody.
on defense.
Not just on defense.
Yes.
Special teams and on offense.
Yep.
The way they're blocking guys, it's just, I want to run through a wall right now. Let's go fucking hit somebody. It's so goddamn exciting.
Yep. My last question for the UTEP game was targets and touches by Harburg in the first half at 1.5. He only got in there for that one play where Rhule's helmet came off and he handed the ball off, so that doesn't count as a touch. And even if it does, it was 1.5, so it's still the under. Me and the fans were the only ones that took the under on that one. As far as overall record, BJ, you went 4-4. Matt went 5-3. Me and the fans both went 6-2.
Damn.
So off to a good start.
Damn.
Fans and I, let's go.
2 other things I want to point out really quickly. I don't want to jinx him, so I'm not going to bring it back yet. But the Boom Sheeny might get brought back out this year if he can keep that up.
He looked
48.5 between. It's only 2 punts.
I'll take it.
But both of them came off solid, and both of them went long.
Yep.
And it allowed our coverage to get set up real nice. Alvano went 1 for 1. It was only a 20-yarder. But positive punt return yards. We had 3 positive punt returns for 25 yards, man.
We actually had one over 10 yards.
Yeah, it was fucking insane.
Back to the question of what this show was almost built on.
We went almost 3 straight years without a positive punt return. Like, let's just be real about life. And I was on it every fucking week.
One of the mainstay questions of this show was punt returns.
For literally 2 solid seasons.
Typically, it was 10 plus yards. And then as the season would go on, okay, let's go 5+ yards. And then as the season, let's go.
It was like 0.5, like over under just literally 1 yard. Can we get 1 yard? That's all it was. And one of them, it was a string of probably 8 games where we didn't even try to return one. But then the one we tried to return, we had like -3 yards on it. It was bad. But I think there's a lot to what Elijah said about the fact that Ron Brown's coaching that now, and that his old school thing was always, they've got a halo rule. They're giving you a fair catch. You don't get a fair catch. Maybe that's what's being called. I think I did see Castaneda throw 1 fair catch up there, but he had like 3 dudes in his face.
Yeah.
Got to be smart about it. But
absolutely. I mean,
I also don't hate the fact, like, Castaneda did not look explosive at all as a returner, but at the same time, he was a very steady catch. And I prefer that over trying to throw Barney back there who might, he's a freshman. He might drop one. You never know. But
I'd rather have Barney as a kickoff return guy than a punt return guy right now. So
yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Rather have him out there just catching balls.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm talking to special teams, but yeah.
Before we move on from this game, is there anything else you wanted to throw out? The last thing that I had was Fedoni. You're still on the bench for me, bro. I don't understand what's going on with you. I know that Satterfield mentioned they need to find a way to get him more exposure, but when you got your three attempts, you did not look good.
I take nothing of what Fedoni did in this game with the 2 or 3 catches or targets behind the line of scrimmage. To me, you made the comment how they didn't really get very exotic for this game because they were prepping for the next game.
It's very true.
I think that they ran those plays for Fedoni to kind of set something up for next week.
Oh, there we go.
I'm not worried about that after game 1.
There we go.
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I get your point in it, but yeah, not worried.
That's all I got. I just, you know that I want to see something out of him this year.
Yeah. I don't really have much more.
I want you to be my Bryce Benhart.
Mainly because it's game 1, and I do my best not to overreact to anybody, not just Nebraska, but to
Positive
anybody.
or negative.
about game one. So,
Yeah.
a lot of people talking Oregon with what they did or did not do against Idaho. I'm not freaking out over game one. Whatever.
That was one of the most shocking games of the week, though.
Yeah, but they also put up a shit ton of yards. They just couldn't get in the end zone.
Yeah.
It
wasn't as shocking as what happened to Florida State.
That's what I was about to say.
I'll give them judgment.
No.
They've played 2 games now.
That's what I was going to say. I said game one. They played 2, and oh boy.
Yeah, that's you talk about getting whooped after bitching all off season for not making the natty.
Whoa boy.
Nope. You've proven you did not deserve that.
No.
If your whole team was hung on the guys that went in the draft and your quarterback, I don't know about that.
Good luck.
But we are here. This has been anticipated all off season. We have already we already did our preseason preview show that got some interesting feedback.
Did something happen?
I guess. Some interesting feedback. If you haven't caught it, you should go back and watch it, specifically in the 21-ish minute mark. That's the part of the show that's been watched the most, nationally anyway. But before we move on, in all seriousness, Jed, I know you wanted to get into some stuff.
I heard a lot over the last 2 weeks over something that I said in that show. And, I've had a lot of time to reflect over what I said. Some of it was emotional, based off of things that I had heard. And so I just want to say that, looking at the things that I've been able to look at over the last 2 weeks, based on the reaction that we've got, the messages that we've got, both positive and, negative. I just want to say that, really digging into the Colorado team this year and the program as a whole and the coaching staff, I really think that with what we're going to see this next week, we're going to be facing what quite possibly by the end of this year might be the greatest college football quarterback of all time.
And Shedeur. You're talking about Shedeur.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who else would I be talking about other than Shedeur Sanders as being the greatest college football quarterback of all time? And the greatest two-way player of all time that, really any sport.
Charles Woodson?
No, I said what I said.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not.
Travis Hunter is a hell of a talent, man.
He's clearly, I don't even think it's a question, he's clearly the greatest two-way player of any sport, of any kind, in the entire history of the planet. And so, and the fact that a guy like Deion Sanders, who's absolutely, without argue, one of the best college...
This is no joke. There's no being facetious here.
I have not been joking this entire time.
Okay.
He is absolutely one of the greatest college football players of all time. He is absolutely one of the greatest NFL players of all time. And
primetime Deion Sanders, man.
The fact that I said what I said about Deion Sanders, I guess ultimately over these 2 weeks, I really just have one thing to say.
I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
But I tell the truth. That's what I do. There's a difference. There's disrespect and there's honest.
Fuck Deion Sanders and that childish little bitch. No, fuck them all.
Are you talking about his son?
Yeah.
Which one?
No, I'm talking about Deion, actually. He's a childish fucking bitch.
This is personal. That's the message of the week. This is personal.
Okay, I think Shedeur is too.
I feel like
that's when I knew it was just extreme disrespect.
Yeah. Every single one of you Colorado Buffalo fans can suck my fucking dick. Period.
Amen, brother.
Full stop. I don't give a shit. I understand this show does what they want. And by the way, we are not media members. We are not representatives of the university. We are not credentialed part of the media. By the way, we also don't want to be. So fuck off. And I'm sorry. By the way, I guess I should have said this ahead of time. Put your headphones on at work while you're listening to this because this is unsafe for work. Every single one of you guys that want to say we are hate-filled and blah, 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 all that stuff that you want to say, fine. We don't care. It fuels everything inside my body. And it just makes me feel so good. And I laugh at every single one of your worthless, pathetic comments. It is so hilarious to me that you think that I have truck nuts on my car, and I'm a redneck, even though I've been a city boy my entire life.
Volkswagen Passat with truck nuts.
By the way, it's a Jetta. But,
it's a Jetta. It's even the smaller one.
But whether you are a SI.com writer that wants to write a stupid story and actually call the University of Nebraska thinking that we had anything to do with them and they even know we exist, the fact that you are a prominent Denver sports talk radio show in the morning with Dipshit and Schlereth in the morning, and you want to talk about us, or any of these other stupid Colorado podcasts that want to mention our show and bring up our clip all the fucking time from 2 weeks ago when we made this comment, or this week now because you have to up your ratings whatsoever. You think we do this just for clicks? No, we just spout out of our fucking asses the entire time we're doing this. And if we get clicks, cool. You're cutting our stuff out for your own damn clicks. You think that we live, or you guys live in rent-free in our heads? I don't give a shit about you guys. I've never cared about Colorado. I do not hate Colorado. Honest to God, I don't even hate Deion Sanders. The reason why I called Deion Sanders a childish little bitch is because he was acting like a childish little bitch. When I made that comment, it was a couple of days after he did the whole thing with the CBS reporter. That's why I called him a childish little bitch. Guess what? When Scott Frost got punished for his NCAA violation and Trev Alberts pulled him in front of the media to make comments, and Scott Frost stood there with the arms crossed like a pouting little child, guess what I called him? A childish little bitch. Because guess what? He was acting like a childish little bitch. When Bo Pelini was doing all of his stupid antics at every fucking press conference he would do, guess what I called him? Is a childish little bitch. Because he was acting like a childish little bitch. I don't give a shit who the fuck you are. If you act like a childish little bitch, guess what I'm going to call you? A childish little bitch. I don't care about Colorado. You occupy no space in my brain, especially after this game on Saturday. I couldn't give a shit because you're not in our conference anymore. You are completely irrelevant. And after this next year, when Shador, Shiloh, Travis, and Deion are gone, you guys will be bottom feeders of college football for the rest of your fucking lives. And you guys think that we give a shit about you? You need us to be relevant. So go fuck yourself with everything that you said about us.
Do you need to take a break to breathe a little bit?
By the way, I forgot. I brought this coin with me, and I know you guys can't see it from here, but it has a penis on it, and it says it is the Dickhead of the Year award. So any Colorado fan that would like to message me, I will gladly send this to your house because every single fucking one of you have won the Dickhead of the Year, and I will send you this coin personally.
Wow, that was fiery. That was fucking fiery.
And by the way, anybody that wants to respond and say, is he done yet? No, trust me, I'm not done yet.
We haven't even gotten into the show yet.
But I'll stop right there.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to the show yet. Oh, boy. No, he made a couple really good points there. Number one, we're not credentialed media members. We're not members of the media corps whatsoever. We're not representatives of the school, just in case that's something else that wants to get dragged out.
The fact that it said on that article, Sports Illustrated reach out to the University of Nebraska to see about their response to this. Keith Mann at Nebraska doesn't know we exist. Like, are you serious that you would actually listen to a fan podcast and think that we are part of the credentialed media? Get the fuck out of here.
Well, it just shows how much he shouldn't be. Because if you're gonna reach out to the university for comment, you should at least reach out to the source in the beginning.
Oh my God!
You know, that's all. We're putting that all behind us.
Reach out to us. We are here. Our names are here. Our show is here. Feel free to comment because again, it just fuels my soul.
Also, this is just a fan show. We're just having fun.
Absolutely.
Like we're dudes hanging out in the basement in Omaha, Nebraska, having fun.
Wait, we're in our mom's. We're in our mom's basement, right?
Just so you know, well, I guess my kid's mom's basement, if you want to call it that. Just so you know, I do have a truck, and it does not have nuts on it either.
That's because Tabitha has them in her purse.
Yeah, you know the funny thing to me, the funniest thing to me that so many of these people want to bring up, you know, oh well, blah 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 blah. These these hillbilly rednecks
Yeah.
and this stuff. They talk about us like we're all hanging out in cornfields. It's like Lincoln is the third largest city in Nebraska. It's where Memorial Stadium is. It's bigger than Boulder, Colorado.
It's also like the fifth largest city in the Big Ten.
It's 2.5 to 3 times larger than Boulder, Colorado. Our stadium seats about double what Colorado Stadium is, at least 30,000-ish more. When the stadium's at capacity, it's like 12,000 people less than the entire city of Boulder, Colorado. Omaha is a metro of like 1.2 million. So like, we're all hillbilly rednecks out here in the middle of nowhere with truck nuts and, fucking our sisters apparently. But that's,
I also
it just doesn't make much sense.
I was the hillbilly stuff. What do you guys think Colorado is outside of Denver? Have you driven around Colorado outside of Denver? Hell, and even inside of Denver, but still maybe you should just look in the mirror a little bit and back the fuck off.
Yeah. Anyway, we've got some really good analysis to give in this game. And that's the part that we love about this show, actually.
Yes.
Because he was not being facetious when he said Shedeur and Travis are extreme talents. Probably 2 top 10 picks in the draft, I would assume.
I might have gone overboard, but truthfully, they are great players.
Yeah, they're incredible. Shedeur, if he was playing on a competently coached team that was, not turned over 50-60% every season and actually had some talent around him other than 1 or 2 or 3 guys, he could very easily throw for 4,500, 5,000 yards and truthfully go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in college. Having to stay in Colorado and play for dad who doesn't know how to build a roster and doesn't know how to coach a team.
And also doesn't want to build a roster. But
yeah, or have realistic conversations with anybody in his local media, which is pretty crazy.
Yep. It's funny how, after that shitstorm that we experienced with our show coming out, and then 2 days later it comes out that he told a Denver Post writer that he can no longer ask questions, how quickly nobody was complaining about us anymore. It's like, it's almost like, I don't know, somebody was right about him being a childish little bitch.
But to the Shedeur thing, he's truly, truly great.
Yeah.
I watched the Colorado game twice now. The Colorado fans should be embarrassed by what they saw against North Dakota State. That is not the same North Dakota State that was winning championships a few years back. They're under a new coaching regime this year. Yes.
It's funny. If you listen to Colorado podcasts in reaction to that game, they're great. Their offensive line played tremendous.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what?
Well, Colorado's defensive line would make most offensive lines look tremendous. I think they're going to make our offensive line look pretty tremendous.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We just played UTEP, who replaced their entire offensive line outside of 2 guys. One of them that they had to replace actually went to Colorado. We'll get to face him this week. But that's where they were getting their new revamped starters from, is from smaller FBS schools out there, and true freshmen. I kind of want to start there on the offensive side of the ball, specifically on the line. What do you think of their offensive line revamp? What's your take on the guys that they're playing right now and how they played against North Dakota State?
I think that, and again, I'm going to try to be serious now, or at least serious-ish. People that know me know that I can never truly be
still
completely
a fun
serious.
show, but
Yes.
we're here to break the game down. The whole Colorado hoopla and all that stuff, it's fun. It's funny, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're here to do a serious show-ish.
So it was kind of funny. I was watching that North Dakota State game, and obviously going into it with what I heard from Colorado fans was the giant upgrade that they had at offensive line, and their offensive line is going to do XXX. I'm like,
To be fair, it is upgraded.
it is upgraded.
They also,
But
just
with
like
what I saw was not as upgraded.
just like the Nebraska local media does every offseason.
of course.
We're the offseason champs. They're
Yep.
the offseason champs.
That's-
Everybody's local media stirs it up and gets everybody's excited.
Totally fair.
It's totally understandable that everybody's excited about their newly revamped offensive line. When you sign the best offensive tackle in the class, that's extremely exciting.
100%.
That's fucking huge. And if we had gotten him, we'd be talking about him the same way. But we'd be talking about him as a redshirt freshman who's maybe going to see 4 games this season.
Yes.
If he's lucky.
Yep.
It's crazy to me that their best offensive lineman is an 18-year-old true freshman.
Yeah. So, again, we bring up Pro Football Focus quite often on this show. We did earlier today. Again, take it for what you want. But for instance, like their center that they have, who they had a decent center. I know that their offensive line was trash last year, but to be able to have an experienced guy come back from the same system would have been more beneficial for them this upcoming season. But they have a new center this year. And against North Dakota State, his pass blocking grade on Pro Football Focus was a 42.6.
Wow.
So it's not like, I think the benefit of our defensive line specifically going against this offensive line is going to be straight up the middle, because their guards didn't play all that great. That 5-star true freshman, Seton, I think he played okay for being a true freshman in his first game. I didn't see some like, oh my God, this guy is the greatest player of all time type stuff.
No.
But,
it's tough to see.
He still has a lot to learn.
In a college game as a true freshman.
Absolutely.
We've talked about it before. Dylan Raiola playing as a true freshman quarterback, that's extremely difficult to do in college football. But you're a skill position player.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive line and the defensive line, those are man in the trenches. That's a physical position to play, first of all, that you're not used to playing dudes that are that big. You're used to being the biggest guy on the field wherever you were playing before. Even if you're playing big boy Texas ball, that's, we've talked about Pyle being that way.
And even him coming in, he's still, and I'm going to say only in quotation marks, he's like 385. Or 285.
285.
385. Jesus. Sorry.
But he's a big boy. He's good sized. He's undersized a little bit.
Yeah.
But taking the size away from it, you also still have the development that typically an offensive tackle in college football, in a major power conference college football program, you're going to be on the bench learning and developing behind guys for a year, 2, 3 years sometimes. So to see a guy come in and be thrust into the thick of it, being essentially the anchor of that offensive line as a true freshman, it's not an apples to apples comparison what Dylan Rhule is doing and what he's doing. No. Even if he had grown up with NFL All-American, all NFL offensive tackle dad and was around it his entire life, he'd still have a learning curve going from high school to college, just like Dylan's going to experience.
I will say it's not even apples to apples in comparison of what Seton is doing compared to what, say, a Gibson Pyle is doing, where, and I'm not trying to say Gibson Pyle was the same athlete that Seton was coming out of high school, but Seton is not learning behind an experienced guy that can show him the ropes in this system, like Gibson Pyle is, like any of our other young offensive linemen are. Seton is like, I got to come in here and I can't learn behind anybody that knows this system at all or is really any good.
Yeah.
Like, I have nobody around me outside of my coaches that can give me pointers.
Yeah.
I understand that coaches are there to coach, but it's a big deal when you have fellow players. We saw this in one of the last Chasing 3 episode where Matt Rhule talked about Vet Day. And he gave all the veterans the day off, and all those veterans like the Isaac Giffords, Jamari Butlers.
They're basically all there to coach.
They were there literally on the field with no pads on, but they were coaching up the younger guys. They played like dog shit, those younger guys. Coach sent them off the field. Those guys stood in the practice facility. Vincent Carroll Jackson stood in front of everybody and said, "This is our chance to show somebody that we can play." A guy like Seton doesn't have that at Colorado because they don't have those types of experienced guys in the system that know what the fuck they need to do. That's a big deal for somebody like that.
It is. And you can't just get barked at by the same coaches all day, every day, and expect for that voice not to get stale. And I get it. Deion has assembled a collection of high-quality former NFL athletes and some good coaches.
I love how you phrase that. High quality, high athletes, good coaches. 100%.
I mean, when you look at what they had last year coming in at both coordinator positions, I would say that they've downgraded since then.
Yeah.
When you look at the position coaches that you have, like Warren Sapp, true. He's one of the all-time greatest defensive linemen in the NFL.
And he's really only kind of an analyst. He's not like the defensive line coach.
Regardless, he's never been a coach.
Yeah, that too.
He doesn't have any experience coaching.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he can't teach, but
no, absolutely not.
he's taken a collection of probably, rub the elbow buddies that he's gotten to know that are all great former athletes or good coaches at some point. And he's thrown them all together in this melting pot that they're all just supposed to walk and talk like Deion. Nobody's got the swag of Deion. Nobody has the career that Deion had to hang that on. But it's just like Deion's trajectory into being the head coach of Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
He cut every corner, and he expects to just have it. And that's
because of his name.
That's the crazy thing to me, though, is that he had to have been a dude. There's no way he cut corners to be what he was in the NFL.
Well, and also,
or in baseball, for that matter.
We can go through sports and see some of the greatest players of all time that were terrible coaches. Like, we go up and down the sporting landscape.
I think a great comparison.
Magic.
A great comparison to me was going to be actually Michael Jordan. Because I think of Deion as being one of those.
Jordan never tried to coach, though.
No, I'm getting there.
Okay, sorry.
But Jordan is obviously, in my opinion, he's by far and away the greatest NBA player of all time. If you're going to try and argue LeBron to me, I won't stand to listen.
I'd argue a different player, but it's also your opinion. So no big deal.
If you're going to talk rings, there's different arguments there.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about just athletically, when it comes to domination and swag, I think him and Deion align tremendously when it comes to that. And I think a lot of the swag is part of why they were so great when they were playing.
Mm-hmm.
You take that swag and you take that athletic dominance and you try and apply it to a position that you haven't worked to get to. You can't just walk into it and expect to be there. You can't just walk into being a head coach and because no one would give you a shot at a major university, you went to an HBCU, you did great things at Jackson State, but you were at Jackson State. The quality level of coaching that they're getting down there is just a step up from high school coaches.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of high school coaches in Texas would think of that as a downgrade to go to Jackson State. Now, you did really well there, so you got an opportunity and you have the name and the swag and you bring the eyes and the attention to get to step into a university situation where they're a broke-ass college in the middle of nowhere where the attendance is on a downslide. The program's been awful for a long fucking time. And now you're looking at, oh my God, we've got this magnet, this dollar magnet that we can bring in here that's like, fuck it, we can't even pay the guy, but we're going to offer him this salary, and we just know that he's going to bring the dollars with him, so we'll get this done. Like, I actually posted this out this morning. There's some truth to being how did it say? There's some truth to the phrase, it's always going to be all right if you believe it's always going to be all right. And that's what they did with bringing Deion on. They didn't care about winning. They cared about bringing eyes and attention and dollars into Boulder, Colorado.
You watched the Deion Sanders press conference from yesterday, right? He always comes up there with a piece of paper to list off a whole bunch of things. And like the third thing that he mentioned was the TV ratings.
Within 3 minutes.
Like,
within
who
3
the
minutes.
fuck cares?
Yeah.
How many people watched our game?
The majority of people watched that game so they could hopefully see Colorado lose.
But also, you mean the one marquee game on a Thursday night on ESPN? A bunch of people watch it? Of course they did.
Week 1 of college football.
Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, that's like the third thing that you bring up. That shows you what is important to them. That's what they care about. Also, another thing that he brought up was Jimmy Horn being 2 yards short of 200. I wish I would have known that because I would have get him 200. Oh, that's what's important to you?
Maybe that's why Shador threw that ball at the end.
No, he didn't throw it to Jimmy Horn, but that's a different conversation. We can go there too.
I get it.
It's like we see in the first 5 minutes of his press conferences what's important to him.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not Colorado.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't want to get into a whole big thing again.
You can see it on what he wears.
All of you dumb fucking Colorado fans and podcasts and media people or whatever else that are sucking this guy's dick so fucking much, a guy that doesn't even know you goddamn exist, he doesn't give a flying fuck about you guys. It is astounding how much you defend him.
And he'll be gone next year.
God.
But back to my MJ comparison, because I
Sorry,
really
I
was
just-
going somewhere with this.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Deion, you're making valid points. When Deion took that Colorado job, he was just leaping into that next thing that he wasn't qualified for, that he hadn't earned, he hadn't worked his way up in the coaching tree for, which is also why a lot of people don't like him.
Yeah.
Don't like his bravado. Because when you have that kind of swag and you have that kind of bravado as an athlete and you're playing in the NFL, and everyone already knows, it doesn't matter how much natural ability and talent you have, unless you work your ass off, you're not going to be successful in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Deion had to work his ass off to do that. No one has forced him to work his ass off to be a coach at Colorado. Not a single person. He has not worked to get where he's gotten. He has not earned it. And that is why, when you look at everything, this has nothing to do with the road that he's taken, other than that there are a lot of super, super qualified, good coaches. He referenced them in his press conference yesterday. He referenced Matt Rhule and a couple other guys as being in his coaching class as they had started as first year coaches last year together. And
it was funny. One of the other ones he mentioned was Dan Lanning, who whooped his ass last
well,
year.
it was something that in my mind, I'm like, Jesus, it's a weird thing to think about, you guys being at the same starting point, because Rhule has been so successful in college football and he has a track record and he's proven. And it was funny because one of the other Colorado podcasts that we had referenced, mentioned that, oh, well, Rhule interviewed at Colorado and he decided that Nebraska was a better fit for him. It's like, would Rhule really have even considered Colorado? Would Colorado even consider him? They weren't looking for a program builder. They needed dollars in the door.
The first part, Rhule would have never considered Colorado.
Yeah, it's just, it's wild to me, the delusion that people have that they think that he's going to bring him a national championship. That's just fucking wild and crazy to me. Even getting close to sniffing a bowl game this year will be lucky for you guys.
At best.
You're going to finish middle of the Big 12. You're going to barely sneak into a bowl game. I think you will get a bowl game. They're a 6 or 7 win team. Their conference is not that hard.
It's going to be tough, though. The middle of that Big 12 is tough.
But I'm just saying.
And they're there.
They're what I would call a mid-tier conference now. The Big 12 is.
Yeah.
You have the Big 10 and the SEC, and then you have the ACC and the Big 12 that are prepping for dismantlement. The Big 10 and the SEC are going to take the pieces that they want, and you're going to be the Pac-12 in a year or two.
And after 1.5 weeks, the ACC doesn't look very good either.
No, not at all. Not at all. But to finish up what I was saying about the MJ thing is MJ went ahead and he had the money, he had the rights, he had the name, he had the everything. I'm just going to go ahead and buy myself into a team.
Yep.
But instead of buying himself into a team like Tom Brady did and just sitting back and saying, okay, well, I own part of this team, I'm not really going to try and influence it. He decided, I'm going to go play GM. I'm going to go control this thing. Very, very similar to what Jerry Jones has done with the Cowboys. A guy with too big of an ego that doesn't really have a sense for what he's doing has gone ahead and shit the bed time and time and time and time and time again, to where finally he gave it up. And eventually that's going to be what's going to happen with Deion, because he didn't start in some people might get this backwards. I'm not saying he didn't earn it from a standpoint of, well, he should have done this and this and this. What I'm saying is that he didn't learn. You have to take the proper steps and come up through the coaching ranks in order to learn how to be a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just have it because you saw some great guys do it. He got coached by some great NFL coaches. That doesn't mean he is those NFL coaches just because he watched from his vantage point. It's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy.
And I wouldn't, just to kind of piggyback off a little bit of that towards the end specifically, I don't, and excuse me if I'm speaking out of school for you, I wouldn't even say like he had to start as like a defensive backs coach because it's Deion Sanders and then work his way up. He could have even started as a defensive coordinator and worked his way up from there because he is Deion Sanders. Yes, that type of a name, that type of a talent does gain you certain kind of edges and, luxuries.
Absolutely.
But to immediately go to head coach, like, no, I'm sorry.
And to refuse, you refuse to go be a coordinator someplace.
Well, also, as a head coach, you refuse to do one of the biggest things that you have to do as a college football head coach.
Recruit.
And that's go out and recruit. And then you stand there in front of a microphone and a camera and say, I don't have to. My name's Deion Sanders. Get the fuck out of here.
You're still coaching in Colorado.
You think Nick Saban, at any point out of all of his accolades, ever said, I'm Nick Saban, I don't have to recruit?
You know what? It just backs up the point even further that the moment he gets an opportunity to jump to the NFL, he will. I don't know if he'll ever get the opportunity.
I know that he said that he's not interested in the NFL. Again,
he said he was also going to stay at Jackson State for the rest of his career.
If his lips are moving, that means he's lying.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Bullshit. It is what it is. But you can probably get some good, was it Geico? No, Allstate.
Aflac.
Aflac.
It's got the duck, so that's all I
Yeah, Aflac. Him and Nick Saban, if you know.
Yeah.
You know. But let's jump into this, man. I want to get into their offense and their defense a little bit more. I know we already started talking about their offensive line, but on the offensive side of the ball, they obviously have some tremendous talents.
Yep.
Shedeur Sanders, senior, the dude's lights out. He's going to be a top 5 pick. The big thing to me that I saw that was different, and a lot of people have said that Colorado game looked against North Dakota State, looked very similar to what they saw all year last year. I agree for the most part. The one thing that I saw that for sure was upgraded was Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
He spent the entire offseason apparently working with Tom Brady, and it showed in his footwork like crazy. There was a play where he got flushed out of the pocket. He rolled left and saw a guy. I don't even remember who the receiver was, but he was cutting across the middle, and he caught him out of the corner of his eye, jump stopped, reset his feet immediately, and launched back across the field a perfect strike. It was terrifying. It was high level for an NFL player. Russell Wilson only wishes he could get some of that back right now. It was very impressive, and I am truly terrified of the combination of Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. But that's all they got. They got a couple wide receivers. They got a couple wide receivers and Shedeur.
I wouldn't say that Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders is all they got. First and foremost, quick side note, I did forget to ask you at the beginning of our Colorado breakdown, and especially now that we're actually getting into a Colorado breakdown, is there any way that when you put this show out, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or any of these other places that everybody can listen to our show, by the way, like and subscribe, that you can put this part, the Colorado part that the Colorado fans are going to listen to, like in slow motion, like half speed, so that they can actually understand it, because their comprehension skills are not very good.
Open your ears.
I'm just curious because, specifically on our season preview show, when I said what I said, but then they all conveniently did not want to listen to the fact that I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we lose this game. Clearly their comprehension skills are lacking. So is there any way we can slow this down for Colorado fans so that they can maybe understand it? But I'm just curious. You're the technical guy. I'll let you do your magic.
Yeah, we'll work on it.
But, Jimmy Horn Jr., who had a monster game against North Dakota State.
198 yards.
Will Shepard, LeJontay Wester, they do not just have Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. They have a really good skill set on the outside. On the inside is a completely different conversation, and I'm not just talking about the offensive line that we already talked about. Their running game is trash, as always. Their tight ends are not very good. So we have nothing to fear with their running game at whatsoever.
Did they even run a tight end out there in the North Dakota State game?
They had one out there, but
God damn,
that doesn't mean anything.
They were 5 wide the whole goddamn game.
Yeah, so they're going to spread us out. They do have, again, Colorado fans, listen to this. I'm complimenting you right now. You guys have great skill position guys on the outside.
Absolutely.
You have a great quarterback.
You don't have a bad running back. You just don't have any semblance of an offensive line to get him the ball.
You don't have a terrible running back. You just have a terrible running game.
Yeah. And you don't call that many running plays.
That too.
Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, what do we know about their D-line? I know it's also, quote-unquote, revamped.
So one of the big things, it is very revamped. They had 2 defensive line transfers from Pittsburgh, Deion Hayes and Samuel. I'm going to butcher his last name, so I won't say it. At Pittsburgh last year, they had 16.5 combined tackles for loss for Pittsburgh last year. So they are very, and I'm mainly bringing that up because they did it at Pittsburgh. It's not like they did it at UTEP, or no disrespect, UTEP.
They're playing big boy ball.
Exactly. So these guys are disruptive players. They can play the game. They had okay games against North Dakota State. So they're good players. Obviously, again, Travis Hunter on the outside. Shiloh Sanders is a very good player when he's not hitting people late. But
that was my biggest gripe with Travis Hunter playing wide receiver in the North Dakota State game.
yeah,
That dude pushed off like it was his job.
yeah.
You're not going to get away with that on Saturday.
No. There, one of the big things is 70% of Colorado's defensive plays were man coverage. Obviously, you can play man coverage when you have the secondary that Colorado has. It's not just Travis Hunter. So, but the thing is, Nebraska against UTEP, and again, I know it's just UTEP. Dylan Rhule was 3 of 5 passing for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns against man coverage. So, you want to do man coverage against us. I'm not saying that Dylan Rhule is going to pick you apart, but our running game will.
Oh.
So please,
I think that's
do
going to
man
be
coverage.
I think that's going to be a lot more of what we're going to see out of this game is an absolute bully ball. The time of possession discrepancy between Nebraska and UTEP on Saturday, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw something very similar this week.
I'm not big on time of possession in this game specifically, mainly because we were like plus 13. North Dakota State was like plus 13 minutes last week, and they lost. So
I get that.
Colorado's offense is good enough where time of possession doesn't mean shit.
That's totally fine. What I'm getting at though is that their defense is only going to get weaker, and it's going to start weak.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a beautiful night outside. So we're not going to have the heat to our advantage like it was. But there's going to be a little bit of a difference here from a conditioning standpoint. Not that I'm saying that they're less conditioned than Nebraska is, because I think that's something that he actually does well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mostly getting to the fact that Nebraska is not playing at altitude in Colorado. It's not year 1 of Matt Rhule's conditioning program. It's year 2. There's some big differences here that are going to slide the pendulum a little bit back to the middle. Talking about last year's game, I mean, we were kind of breaking it down a little bit before we started. Last year, it was 3-0 with a minute or two left in the first half.
Well, it was 10-0 at halftime for Colorado.
They scored a touchdown right there at the end because Sims threw an interception with like 2 or 3 minutes left.
It was 13-0. I'm sorry, or whatever it was. But one of my, again, not to go into my big rant again, but one of the funny things is a lot of the comments or the stupid Colorado podcasts that I listened to. God, I wish I could have that time back in my life. Was so many people saying how Colorado destroyed you guys last year, and they worked that game the entire time, and I don't know why Nebraska thinks that they were in that game. It was just because of a late touchdown, blah, blah. Okay, I'm sorry to do this kindergarten lesson for you, but that's what your education level is right now. So Nebraska versus Colorado last year was a 13-7 game, about 2/3 or a third of the way into the third quarter last year. Nebraska had 126 rushing yards. You guys had -4. We had 84 passing yards. You guys had 181. That's great. So total yards after it was 13-7, 9 minutes and change left in the third quarter when it was 13-7, a 1-score game. Nebraska had 210 yards. Colorado had 177. And by the way, Nebraska was -2 in the turnover margin at that point of the game. You're going to sit there and actually try to say that you guys controlled that game the entire time and you destroyed us? And
if
all
anything,
that stuff?
I think Jeff Sims kind of controlled it.
Get the fuck out of here. You guys even know what the hell football even is? I know what the answer is, but
no, because most of them only became football fans 2 years ago.
Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like all the Swifties.
Yeah.
But they were just a year early.
Which is why, like, when I was at the Colorado-Nebraska game in Boulder in 2019, nobody said shit to me because they didn't even know that they had a game that day.
Dude.
And then all of a sudden in 2023, when I go out to that game, everybody thinks that they're college football experts. Get the fuck out of here.
I think that I just made that connection right now. Colorado fans are Swifties. Makes sense.
Yeah.
They don't know shit about football, and they only like it because of one guy or one person.
Yeah.
It all makes sense now. Colorado fans or Swifties? We've nailed it. We've nailed it. Jed, let's jump into the questions, man.
Let's start that hashtag right now. Colorado fans equals Swifties, or how does that go?
Colorado fans or Swifties?
All right, let's go into these questions. Get this over with just because I'm already tuned up and ready to go. Turnover margin for Nebraska. That was kind of the storyline of the entire game last year where we were minus 3. Basically, the question is, will it be positive for Nebraska? So even if it's even, that's a no. So the answer is, will it be positive for Nebraska turnover margin?
Yes. What did Matt say?
Matt, so by the way, yeah, Matt's not here. I already got the answers from Matt. He said no, turnovers will be minimal, expecting 1 on each side.
So wait, what was the question again?
Turnover margin, will it be positive for Nebraska?
Yes, I think it's yes.
So again, if it's even, that's a no.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm
Okay.
taking the yes on that.
I'm going to go with no because I'm kind of with what Matt said. I think it will be even at best for Nebraska. That doesn't mean I think it's going to be negative. I just think there's going to be a give and take on both sides.
Well, I feel like you've even heard Deion this year or yesterday in his press conference reference the fact that they need to be more accountable to the run game. They need to play more run, and that's only going to give us more opportunity to turn the ball over. You saw there were probably 4 or 5 runs, a small handful I would say of runs in that UTEP game where we gave them an additional 2 or 3 yards because now it's like NFL 2 or 3 yards. You've got a guy that's attached that's going to bring him down for sure, but now you've got guys holding him up trying to rip the ball out. That's not something we saw last season.
Yep. Question number 2, Colorado yards per carry. I've got it at 2.10. Last week, Nebraska was at 2.33. Nebraska allowed 2.97 last year as a season. Colorado averaged 2.6 last week. Colorado averaged 2.3 in the game last year. Or I'm sorry, in the whole season last year. In the Colorado-Nebraska game last year, Colorado was at 1.76, but that was also with 11 tackles for loss by Nebraska. So again, yards per carry for Colorado, 2.10. Matt took the over. He said over, but not by much.
Yeah, it seems like one of those that would go over just simply because they might break. If I recall correctly, this running back that they have is pretty fucking fast. They might break one. Or you might see Shedeur scramble out where we've brought max pressure and he somehow gets outside and slips one for 30 or 40 because we've got his guys all the way down the field.
I think the biggest thing about this number, it depends on how many sacks we get. Not just tackles for loss, because we had 8 sacks last year.
I think it also has a lot.
I don't know that we will get to 8.
I think it also has a lot to do with how much they'll actually run the ball.
Yeah.
Because they ran the ball. It looks like there was a total attempts of 23, but Shedeur had 6 of those, and he averaged 2.8 himself. I don't know, man. I think they probably abandoned the run pretty quick in the first half. I'm going to go over, just simply because of math.
Well, and also just to let you know, last week for Colorado, in the first half, they had 8 rushes for 19 yards at 2.3. In the second half, they had 15 rushes for 40 yards at 2.57.
Wow.
So, depending on how you think the game is going to go as far as what they're going to do in the second half, if they need to throw the ball more, that'll open themselves up for less rushes and more sacks possibly.
Yeah.
Who knows? So you said over?
Yeah, I'm going to go over.
Okay. You got a rough number just for shits
No,
and giggles?
I think it's a small over. I don't think it's
okay.
I don't think it's going to go that much higher. If they got to 3 per carry, I'd be shocked. If they're getting to 3 per carry, I'll bet they've got less than 20 carries.
Okay. So as it will, I will probably say when we get to our game predictions, I do my best on all of these things not to have emotional picks.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys have been watching the show this entire time.
It's just a tad bit emotional.
Some of my picks might be emotional. So with that being said, I'm taking the under.
I love it.
It's not an optimist BJ situation. It's an emotional fuck you Colorado
this is an emotional Jed saying fuck off Colorado.
Question number 3, rushing yards by Nebraska running backs. We brought that up earlier as far as Nebraska having over 200 yards rushing by the running backs for the first time since the Georgia Southern game in 2022. And that's something that we're going to need with a non-running quarterback. So I put the number at 174 and a half. So basically, will we get above 175?
Yes, massively.
Way
over.
We had 140 rushing yards by the running backs last year. North Dakota State had 157 total last week, not just by the running backs, but because they have running quarterbacks. And Nebraska had 219 by the running backs last year. So you say way over?
My number is 200 in my head that we're going to go over.
I almost put this number at 200, but I kind of think that because we've only done it once in the last 2 years, I thought that was a little aggressive.
I think, that I don't think it's that aggressive, and I'm not thinking of it based on last game. I'm thinking of it based on how I think this game is going to go. Mm-hmm. I think that we're going to be more dominant in the run game than we are in the pass game. I wouldn't be shocked if Dylan Rhule had what we would consider a down game. Maybe he turns it over once. Maybe he gets a little gun shy and things aren't connecting.
I was going to say, what do you consider a down game?
They have some talent on their back end of their defense. Mm-hmm. It would not shock me if our guys are not getting enough open. It would not shock me if we're not getting a ton of yards after catch because they are very fast on the back end.
Yep.
And they're also not undersized. They're bigger. That's one thing that they did this year with some of the transfers they brought in. They got bigger. And Travis Hunter, I mean, he's 6'2". You got the guy across from him that's 6'1", or vice versa. I think Travis Hunter's 6'1".
Whichever, yeah.
But those are bigger corners that are going to be on our bigger wide receivers. So that height advantage isn't going to be there. The athleticism of Travis Hunter, you throw that out there. His just natural ball hawk ability, because he's more of a wide receiver anyway. I mean, it's going to be a great battle, but I just don't see our pass game working as much more than just to help set up our run game, and our run game is going to bash.
I think we're going to go over the 174.5. I'm not sure that we're going to get to 200 by our running backs, but I think I'm taking the over on 174.
I like it. What'd Matt take?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. He took the over, expecting another 200 yards.
There we go.
A lot like
he was right in line with me.
Yep. Number 4 is, I had this question last year as well because it was kind of the topic of conversation with Nebraska's team specifically coming out of the previous season. Missed tackles by Nebraska. North Dakota State had 15 missed tackles last year, according to Pro Football Focus. And by the way, this number is based on last week. Yeah. This number is based on Pro Football Focus's numbers. Nebraska had 14 missed tackles last year against Colorado. Nebraska averaged 8.3 per game last year. Nebraska only had 4 last week. So my number of missed tackles by Nebraska is 9.5. So basically, do we get to double digits? And just to let you know, Matt said over, gonna need to be a focus.
Yeah, I think the tackling was called out by Rhule in the press conference this week.
By the way, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The 14 that we had last year was kind of surprised by us. I went back and listened to our shows, and we were kind of surprised to see that, because I thought we tackled a lot better last year than having 14 missed tackles. But
yeah, I think the tackling, the over pursuit was kind of a little bit shocking for me in the UTEP game. And because of that, and because that's going to be the strong focus this week for Tony White, It was called out in the media. We know Rhule likes to talk to his guys through the media. I think that's going to be better this week. I'm going to take the under on 9.5.
Yeah, if the tackling would have been better for North Dakota State, they had 15 missed tackles. If they would have had like 12 missed tackles, they probably win that game.
Yeah, probably.
So that was a huge deal for North Dakota State last week. I understand why, because, again, Colorado has great elite skill position athletes.
I think you're going to see a Singleton, Tommy Hill coming out party in the tackles category because of having to cover on
Hunter.
Travis Hunter. Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually going to take the under as well. I think it's just going to be such a focus. I don't think that we're going to miss very many tackles in Colorado's running game for whatever that is. And I trust our secondary to tackle guys. So
I dig it.
Question 5 is, who has more receiving yards? This is one of my favorite questions of the list. I have 9 questions. This is question 5. Who has more receiving yards, Travis Hunter or Isaiah Nayor? Travis Hunter had 132 last week. Nayor had 121. Hunter had 73 versus Nebraska last year.
Here's my thing. Is Tommy Hill the Tommy Hill that people are putting into their first-round draft pick, or is Tommy Hill a Fugazi? Is he fake?
We'll find out on Saturday.
Well, I'm asking you. What do you think?
I think he's a top 2-round pick. I mean, and that's fair.
That answers my question. I'm going there.
But that's also fair because, even the guys that are putting him in the first round, it's literally the last pick of the first round.
I get it. I think it's going to be Nair. I think you could have put Nair or Lloyd in this spot, because I think if you look, not necessarily even just the second option, but the third option on the field, they're going to have an ability to get some openness, especially with that speed. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with those two dudes. I think Jamal Banks is going to be the same Jamal Banks that we expected to see this year and that we saw last week. He's going to catch 5-6 balls that he's going to hit the ground immediately.
I'm taking Nayor as well. It's not just that I trust Tommy Hill. I don't know. I'm curious as to find out who Hunter covers.
That's going to be the thing, too, is how much is he getting beat up on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah.
Getting chipped every time we're coming off the line. How much are we just, it has to be a focus, I would assume, that when he's on defense, they're going to make him run everything. They're going to make him run, especially if they're playing man. They're going to have him going all the way across the field as much as they possibly can.
Yep.
And that might truly take away, because I would imagine they're going to have him on Nair. He's the most dynamic of him or Banks. If they're going to put him on Nair, that might bring Nair's usage down, just from a simple standpoint of he's going to be the decoy that's going to have Travis Hunter running as much as he possibly can. Either that or it's going to be hit-go routes the entire time.
Question number 6, Shedeur Sanders passing yards. We had this question last year as well. I put the number at basically 325 last year, and he blew that out of the water at 393 last year. He had 445 last week. I'm putting the number higher than I had it last year at 349.5. So will he get above 350? Matt took the under. He said a hopeful pick for him, and this will be a shootout.
I'm going to let you give me your pick before I get into this.
So first and foremost, again, this is no bullshit. Shedeur Sanders, and honestly, even Colorado's offense and the skill position guys that they have. Shedeur Sanders, first and foremost, will be the best quarterback we play the entire season. That's even above Ohio State, because I don't think Ohio State's quarterbacks are that good right now. Skill position guys and everything else, Colorado is at least number 2, if not number 1, as far as who we will play all of this season. I understand maybe the collection of talent that Ohio State has could possibly put them at number 1, but the level of talent Colorado has, I could hear the argument 1 or 2 what Nebraska will face all year. So who Shedeur Sanders has to throw to is absolutely elite talent. I'm not going to deny that whatsoever. With that being said, I'm going to take the over because I think they're going to get yards. Does that mean I think that they're going to get points? No. But I think they're going to get yards. So I'm going to take the over on basically 350.
And you put it at 350. I hate this. I was actually trying to find out if we had. Okay, yeah. Here it is. The actual Vegas odds on this, FanDuel has this at 306.
Okay.
Over under. So they don't think he's going to go that high.
One of my other reasons why I think he's going to go higher than 350 also is because I think if we have the lead late, they're going to have to chuck the ball around even more than they already want to. So I think even in garbage time, quote unquote garbage time, I should say. I'm not trying to say we're going to be up by like 20 points in garbage time, but quote unquote garbage time in the fourth quarter or whatever, it's going to add more yards to them. That's why I think he's going to go over 350.
Sure. I don't.
Okay.
I'm going to play the Vegas odds line on this one, and I would go over 306, but I would go under 350.
Okay.
Just simply because of this. I don't think we're going to give them the opportunity to beat us over the top. I think if they're going to play us, they're going to have to play us. And where he's going to have his efficient completions is going to be across the middle, underneath, and those are going to go for 8 to 15 yards.
Which goes into the missed tackles.
Yeah.
Question.
And since I do think we're going to have lower number on the missed tackles, I really do think that he's going to have to dink and dunk us to get stuff. I think we're talented enough on the back end as long as there's no major injuries. I think he stays under 350.
That's fair. Question 7. Completion percentage by Dylan Rhule. 69.5. Nice. Dylan had 70.4% last week. North Dakota State had 76.9 last week. Matt is taking the over. He expects 75% plus.
You said it at 69?
69 and a half.
Yeah, I'm going to go under.
Okay.
Not by much necessarily.
I agree. I honestly,
I think it's
I will
somewhere
just say
in the 60s.
I'm taking the under too, but just right there.
I think it's somewhere in the 60s. I think that the fact that if Travis Hunter is going to be able to play a lot on the defensive side of the ball, if that's going to be the focus for him, because I think they have more weapons on the offensive side at receiver than they do on the DB side. If that's the focus for him, I think he's going to make it difficult for us, and there's going to be a lot of disrupted plays.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to burn guys. At least I don't think so. The only thing that I could see us having higher completions is if we're doing a lot more short stuff, and it's a lot more Jamal Banks style, jump up, high point the ball, grab it because you got 2 or 3 inches on a guy. So I'm going to go under, but it's just slight.
Yeah, I'm taking the under mainly because, so Dylan threw
Matt must have been drinking early today. Send you some of these. These are some hopeful, wishful bets he's been putting out there.
Whatever. But I'm taking the under because, last week, like I said, Dylan had 70.4. If he would have had one less completion, he would have been at 66%. And he basically threw the ball the same amount that North Dakota State did.
Yeah.
As far as in the game. So 70% is a lot to ask against this secondary and against better competition.
And then out of a true freshman.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm taking the under on 69.5. But again,
if he comes out and blows it out, I'll be very happy.
Please, thank you very much. I will take that loss.
If we could get
we
could get a 325 to 350 yards out
or
of Dylan
just
Rhule,
or just 3.
Oof.
I'll take 3.
I'll take 3.
Question 8: tackles for loss by Nebraska. Nebraska had 11 tackles for loss against Colorado last year. They averaged 6.3 per game last year. 4 of their games last year were over 7.5. I have the number at 7.5. Colorado allowed 7.1 last year. They only gave up 1 last week against North Dakota State. So tackles for loss by Nebraska is 7.5.
And we had how many last year?
Oh, I'm sorry. I changed this number to 8.5.
We had how many last year?
11.
Yeah, I'm going over. Like I said, I think Deion already mentioned it in his press conference this week. They're going to make more of a concerted effort to run the ball. I think we're going to get Shedeur. I don't think we're going to get to him 7 or 8 times like we did last year, sack-wise, but I could see 5.
So we had 8 sacks last year. We only sacked Shedeur 7.
Okay.
The other one was the backup quarterback.
So I think we get to Shedeur probably 5 times. And that's, you look at that, you're halfway there. There's no reason for me not to go over on this.
Okay.
Jamari Butler and Ty Robinson are going to absolutely eat this week. But I think Hotmaker probably himself, just because of how weak their interior offensive line is, Hotmaker is going to be able to be that disruptive interior sack guy, very similar to what we saw in Ndamukong Suh.
Also having a Ty Robinson for the entire game rather than just the second half like we had him last year.
And he's a proper Ty Robinson, not a guy who's just getting in shape after a major injury.
Yeah. So Matt took the over. He said the new improved offensive line isn't ready for us fucking their shit up. That sounds like Matt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last question I have.
We'll give one of these for Matt on that one.
Yes. Last question I have, and this is one for you fans, the Nebraska fans that are going to this game. Matt Rhule came out and told us in the press conference on Monday, be Nebraska nice on Sunday. By the way, this game is played on Saturday. So, this game is a situation where you fans need to be on your not on your ass. Like we saw the video that Will Compton had apparently on the big screen last week.
And supposedly, every single home game, he's doing a rile up the crowd intro like that.
He will do it better than I am, but I'm going to do my best right here. All of you fans, blue hair or blonde hair, I don't care.
Brunettes and redheads, we love you too. Don't forget about you.
Get off of your ass when Colorado has the ball. This question is for you guys. Be loud, loud, loud. False starts by Colorado's offense.
Can we throw false starts, delay games in there? Like put them together?
Okay.
Can we do that?
Then in that case, I might jump this up by one.
Okay.
Okay. So sorry, Matt. Matt already gave me his answers. He's still taking the over. So
I wish there was a way to do like false starts, delay of games, and like unnecessary timeouts.
So I'm not going to do that. Go that far.
I'm just saying UTEP had to take 2 of them.
So I'm fair.
I loved it.
I'm fair with raising this number by 1 because Matt's answer on the original number was over, way fucking over. Bring your earplugs. So I'm safe with raising this number. False starts or what did you say?
Or
delay games.
Game, yeah.
Okay. This is my shout out to you fans. Be fucking loud the entire time our defense is on the field, no matter what the score of the game is. False starts or delay of games by Colorado's offense, 3.5.
3.5? Get out of here. Over.
Okay.
Not even, and I'm no offense to the fans. I think that this is going to be, people keep mentioning Miami at 14. I think it's going to be louder than that.
I was there.
I think it's going to be louder than that. I think this stadium is going to be more electric than that. I think that was a fan base that was coming off of 10 win seasons
That literally was one of the loudest times I've ever seen that stadium, and I've been there for a lot of fucking games.
I'm getting goosebumps right now, but that was a fan base that was, I'm a little upset because we're having a little bit less of fun because we just got rid of Bo, and it's just not going that great. This is a fan base that is 10 years later, that if you look back over the last 10 years, has just been absolutely shit on. We are there constantly for our team. We are giving everything to that team. Everybody in the state scraps together money to get to these games, and we do not waver on our support. It is time for them to pay us back, and there is so much excitement about this season and this team
and
finally giving us that back. And you throw on top of it the old school rivalry and the vitriol and the hate between the Colorado and the Nebraska fan base. It's almost to the strange level for me, but I think this is going to be an absolutely electric and dynamite, absolutely dynamite, ruckus, as Rhule put it, crowd. But on top of that, that offensive line is not ready for what our guys are going to do to them. And they are going to be hurt and scared by halftime. By the second half, I fully expect several offensive linemen to either be wanting to be out of the game or already out of the game. There will be moments where they have additional true freshmen or transfers in from someplace that Deion wish he never got that are going to have to play. And those dudes are going to fucking shit their pants, and that's going to cause Dookie 5 yards, let's go, replay second down. Yeah, way over. Okay. I would put the number at like 6.
Okay,
I'm dead serious, bro. They're going Bryce Benhart circa 2001.
2001, he's not that old. He was born in 2001.
21, I'm sorry. 2021. It's like that Oklahoma game where I'm pretty sure he had like 6 by himself. It's way over.
Okay, I'm going to take the over as well. I'm not going to go way over like you and Matt did, but...
Can I make an additional prop on this real fast?
Sure.
I want to hear, this can be a crowd reason, but I want to hear one of those calls where false start, the entire offensive line or the entire right side of the line. I want to hear one of those calls on Saturday.
Yeah, I would love that.
Where the ref is smirking because he can't say all the numbers.
Or he says, everybody but number 52 or whoever. Like, just
and if we could get one of those giving him the business calls too, that'd be pretty amazing.
Yes. I would love to be able to sit here and yell into the microphone, but I will blow out the speakers. Also, I might wake somebody up that's upstairs that I would get my ass kicked for. So I won't do that. But this is, again, my plea. I know I'm the so-called Husker hater on this show, and I talk a lot of shit about our own fans.
There's many Husker hate going on tonight.
But I am imploring you fans, get off of your fucking ass and be as... If you have a voice, if you go to this game and you have a voice Sunday,
you better not.
Basically, just end it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Just you shouldn't ever have tickets to any game whatever again in your entire life.
We don't need to be that dramatic.
No, you should have your face on the Memorial Stadium where this person should never be allowed in. Like, this is that type of a game. Like, that's what kind of a big deal this is.
Yeah.
So I am going over, just hoping that you fans in that stadium, I'm going to try to get in there. I'm going to be down in Lincoln to party. I don't have a ticket yet. Anybody that wants to get me a ticket, please send them my way. But I don't have a ticket yet. I want to be in that stadium, and you better believe anybody that's sitting around me, if I do get in there, is not going to be sitting down because I will forcefully pull you up off of your ass. I'm taking the over on 3.5, and that's all the questions I have.
I love it, man. I love it. All right. We wanted to get Matt in here for the end of this show as we make our picks.
He's calling from his cell at the penitentiary.
Yeah, from his cell. He snuck his cell phone in under the bed. No, Matt, where are you right now?
I am out currently in Port St. Joe, Mexico Beach area in Florida.
You bragger.
You're a dick. But it is going to be...
it doesn't suck, probably, right?
It's about 85 degrees. The beach is warm. The water's warmer. It's phenomenal.
So you're bringing the lovely weather back with you for Saturday, I hear.
Yeah, I'm just bottling it up, put it in a jar.
You're landing what time on Saturday?
I have to check. It'll be right around game time.
There you go. Well, on Saturday, it is going to be beautiful weather. I know that the high for Saturday is 84, but I'm pretty sure game time is supposed to be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 75.
Yeah.
And it's going to be absolutely beautiful by the time everybody's packing in a Memorial Stadium to celebrate this victory. But I'm saying victory because even ESPN's analytics are predicting Nebraska a 60.1% chance of winning. That's higher than our Purdue percentage. That's higher than our Rutgers percentage. That's higher than our USC, Iowa, Wisconsin. All those games we are projected lower than this game to win. So if you're a person who thinks Nebraska is going to get 7, 8, 9 wins on the season, as I do, as many people do,
10
like me, we got to win this game.
Yeah.
The spread on this, Vegas definitely assumes that Nebraska is going to be winning this game. They put a spread of a touchdown and a half a point on here. It's minus 7.5 Nebraska. The over-under is set at 58.5. Money line is minus 270 for Nebraska. That's some solid confidence in the Nebraska Cornhuskers winning this game. I, for one, am gonna take Nebraska with the points. I think that we win this game somewhere in the neighborhood of, like, I think I said earlier today, 31-17 or 31-24, something like that. But I really do think it's closer to that, like 37-41 range for us, and maybe like 21-24 for Colorado.
Okay, Matt, what do you got?
Well, I think that this is going to be the game where we finally see Matt Rhule effect in full display on the team. They're going to have their heads right. They're going to be there ready to just fucking dominate. Obviously, Vegas thinks that we're going to be seeing a lot of scoring, and I think that as well. So I'm taking Nebraska for the win, but I'm not going to take them with the points. I'm going to take Colorado with the points, losing by 6-ish points. I'm going to guess it'll be around 34-35 Nebraska, and 28 Colorado.
Wow.
Nice. So initially I told a couple of people at a family function on Labor Day, by the way, he did not show up for the family function, Stephen Allen, this one's for you, that I kind of think that the first team to 30 is going to win this game. I could see possibly both teams getting to 30, but at the same time, every time I say that, I'm like, with Nebraska's defense, I just don't know how Colorado gets to 30. But they are also very explosive. I mean, they're a good offensive team. So I kind of think that if either team gets to 30, the first team to 30 is going to win this game. I would take the under on the point total first and foremost, because I think that when somebody gets to 30, the other team might barely get to 20 because they're going to be like pressing a little too much. Sure. And I don't think that they get to that over-under total. And I'm going back and forth on the point spread because I'm hearing from a couple of people that I respect and admire that, it's going to 10 plus points, specifically like Michael Severe. He has a certain formula that he does, and he has it like, initially he had it as like an 18-point game for Nebraska.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I struggle to fully embrace that. I love that thought process, by the way, but at the same time, it's like, again, I'm scared of the explosiveness of Colorado's offense. I get our defense, but at the same time, I'm obviously taking a Nebraska win because fuck Colorado, mainly their fans. The point spread, I'm not 100% sold on, so I don't really have a play one way or the other, but no. We send Colorado back with a loss, and we can say, kiss our ass on the way out the state.
So you're not going to fuck with the point spread?
No.
All right. Over under on that. I'm going to go over just simply because I think that we're going to be explosive enough, and they are going to score at least 2 touchdowns. And like I said, I see us getting close to that 40 mark. It's only going to take them getting to 20 in order to get over. So
I think that
I'm doing it.
I think that if we get over 30 and they are semi-struggling, I think we run the ball to run the clock out.
There we
so
go.
That's one of the big reasons why I'm taking the under.
Any parting words, Matt?
Fuck Colorado. Go Big Red.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Jed, anything else?
I just said, couldn't have said it better myself. Other than that, I will just let my shirt do the talking. By the way, Deion, bring it. And I would say it to your face.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.